Welcome to A-Side Boxing. I'm Marlon Parker alongside Ray Massey and Carlos Massey. Tonight, we have a special guest, middleweight sensation, Hugo Centeno Jr., the boss. Best here in boxing.
Thank you for having me. It means a lot to me to be on.
No, man, we were glad to have you on. To be honest, you've always, you've been in the mix, and obviously you were fighting so regularly, and then COVID hit, and you went almost 2 years without a fight. And so now you're back in the mix.
Yeah, it was a little tough during COVID, and it's obviously it's a little harder when obviously you don't have a manager that, like, I guess calls you back. I had a time with Al. He's a hard man to get a hold of, obviously. I mean, he's got a lot of fighters, but it was just, if you're not in that upper echelon where you have a world title, it's very hard for him to get back to you. So it was I think it was a smarter move for me to just do my own thing and part ways from them.
So what are the plans? Because if you're doing your own thing, it's hard to break into where you can actually get the title shots. So so what are your plans? Are you going to go clean up all the minor titles and then force a major title bout?
I would really like that. Coming up with all the managers that I did have, unfortunately, I never had the opportunity to fight for all the small titles to put me in that position. I kind of just earned the ranking.
Okay.
And so a lot of people, they might say, "Oh, well, those small titles don't mean anything." But I mean, when you've been doing this for close to 24 years, I mean, it means something to me.
Exactly. No, we don't knock them up. Exactly. We just had an interview, and I don't know if you don't want to drop the name, but might as well say it. We were just speaking with a former fighter, and he was proud. He said, "No, bring up my former." He said it was a minor title, but no, I earned it. And so so no, a title is a title. A belt is a belt. You have to do what you have to do.
Absolutely. And once you retire, at the end of the day, you want to have something to show for it, that you have something on the trophy case. And for me, unfortunately, I've been doing it for so long that the only stuff that I have in my trophy case are things from the amateurs.
Right. Talk about your amateur background. How was it?
For amateurs, especially fight out here in Southern California, it was, 2-3 times every weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes Thursdays, depending on what tournaments were out there. But it was regularly. I had close to 100 fights, or about 100 fights. Got to win a lot of state titles, national titles. Obviously got to represent the U.S., going to fight in Mexico, and being able to accomplish things like that obviously boosts your confidence. Especially, I think one of the bigger ones for me that showed that I was gonna be in this sport for a long time was when I was 11. When you're fighting 15 and under, there's a big tournament. It's called the Silver Gloves.
Yes.
And it's 4 months long, so it's the first weekend of each month, but it happens to land on beginning of November, beginning of December, beginning of January, and then beginning of February. And this all counts on if you continue to win, because if you lose, you're out. And so I feel like that showed a lot of grit and a lot of discipline and determination on my part, because that's around all the time, when an 11-year-old kid wants to eat their Halloween candy or get ready for Thanksgiving. Right. Get ready for Christmas, all the tamales that, Mexicans or celebrate New Year, and then obviously my birthday's in February. So there's a lot of things that I had to sacrifice that I felt like I proved to myself that I could make it in this sport.
Yeah. Tell it, you come from a rich pride, Oxnard, California. You're in good company, Robert Garcia, Mikey Garcia,
Fernando Vargas. Fernando Vargas.
Right now, yeah. Who vicious? Yeah. So tell us about the level of competition that brought you up to that level. You get them 90 amateur wins.
It's funny that I unfortunately, even though those guys were at that level, I never got to work with any of them, but it's definitely something that sets a mark that you want to get to. You know, someone like Fernando Vargas, that they got to try to go to the Olympics and go to win the Pan Am Games, and you know, have such a amazing career. And someone also like Robert Garcia or Mikey Garcia, but I never got to work with any of those guys, and it was always just my dad and I. So I feel like it was more rising to the occasion and wanting to prove my worth. And I guess being in the top 10 for, I don't know, like 7 or 8 years now, I mean, obviously shows that, you know, I've made it up there with the big guys and been on all the biggest stages. And yeah, I've won some and I lost some, but I mean, it's part of the sport.
Exactly. And which, if we all think, you know, once we start, when we recall our favorite fighters, a lot of them have losses, even back-to-back losses. Anyone who knows me knows I'm a huge Diego Corrales fan. No one talks about it. At the end of his career, right before he died, there was 3 losses in a row.
Right.
And so, and you can go, it's a few, just about everyone. James Tony, Roy, if you cut off the leg, B-Hop, all the greats have losses. No, it's just how you bounce back and what you do with the opportunities. Some you can fully realize, and others, you know, it slipped through your hands. But you got to have that grip, like you said.
Absolutely, and like I said, it also helps when you have someone supporting you to the fullest, and you feel like you and your team are on the same page. And for me, you know, I had some managers that were on the same page, but then, you know, you kind of get off the same channel or the same page, and then they have one vision and then you have another. I feel like more so lately, not now that I'm working with Lou DiBella, because he's great. But I feel like when I was working with Al, like I said, it was hard, man, because I only got to speak to him a few times, and I worked with him for 5 years.
Whoa.
And it's always, hey, we'll talk to this guy, we'll talk to this guy, and it's like, you're my manager, man. Like I don't want to talk to that guy. I want to talk to you. That's why I signed with you.
Exactly.
But like it makes it a little hard, making you like feel like someone has your back 100%. And I
appreciate it. Yeah, it sounds like you just didn't feel appreciated. And
right. And that goes a long way at the end of the day, because you want to know, once you step in that ring, you have everyone's full support that's on your close-knit team.
Right. And about that the importance of that cohesiveness and everyone understanding their role and responsibility as it pertains to the fighter, you know, it's always been like a general understanding that, hey, the fighter's job is to fight, the manager's job is to manage,
right,
and the trainer's job is to train.
Right.
Very simple, but we see more and more nowadays that blend which you're talking about, where sometimes, you know, there is an imbalance in expectations, if you will. I'm just saying it nicely. Where, you know, the fighter's done his job or her job, but there's more being expected from the management team. And talk about how difficult that is to navigate now with you in your case.
I think for me it's a little tough, because like I said, now I don't have a manager. All I have is a promoter. Mm-hmm. And like I said, Lou is great, but sometimes it feels like, obviously, like I have to manage my career and try to come up with a game plan on what's next, and try to not overlook the next opponent, but try to see what the next few opponents are going to be if all goes accordingly. And I feel like obviously that shouldn't be my job. All I should have to do is focus on fighting. Mm-hmm. And
absolutely
the opponent at task. So I feel like it gets a little hard, especially like how you said, when those roles start to blend, and you have physical coaches or managers that are trying to tell you what to do in the ring, and
exactly. Yeah.
Everyone doesn't understand their role, and they start crossing those boundaries.
Yeah, you see a lot of fighters nowadays evolving and taking control, like kind of like taking control of their brand. So what do you think about that? Is that something that you considering in the future?
Absolutely. I've always been a clean cut guy, and I feel like that's very marketable. And I feel a lot further with the right people behind me, but I haven't been given that opportunity because I feel like you need that belt to solidify yourself and stand out.
Okay. And that belt also, for some, I guess, a lot of promoters, they look at it, and even fans, it's a sign of legitimacy. I mean, you have a pretty good career, but just not having any belt, it makes it harder. Perfect example. I'm not going to dance around it. I'll bring it up. I obviously thought you won the Antonio Todd fight, but
yeah,
it's so. There's a lot of slick boxing, and it's harder when you're not a former champ or not a current champ to get those decisions on the road.
Right.
But it was obvious. I watched that fight twice because obviously sometimes we have to watch it and we joke amongst each other because you'll catch yourself watching it as a fan of a boxer. Then you say, let me step back and just watch it, try to be objective.
Right. I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. I felt like it was a little close. I didn't feel the best, but you try to push through it. How can I explain this? I feel like it puts me in a harder position when, though Antonio Todd is a great fighter, I feel like being on a small show like I was, and obviously having the name and the reputation that I have, to lose to someone like Antonio Todd, not to make him less of a fighter, but obviously he's not a big name, so people start me out because they're like, oh, well, Hugo lost to nobody. And it sucks because, obviously I've fought everybody they've put in front of me. Like, I've never ducked or dodged nobody, and whoever they said was next, I always rose to the occasion. And like I said, I won some and I lost some, but I never ducked or dodged anyone.
Well, sometimes that actually creates opportunity, Hugo. Specifically when your casual fan or even boxing analysts may believe that, hey, well, maybe this guy is declining. Sometimes that opens up opportunities for you, and who knows? I personally think that's an advantage to be considered someone who may have been or past their prime or declining. That's a feather in your hat, Okay, all right. Well, who do you got for me? Because it's already clear that you don't duck any smoke.
Right.
You're always there. You're always ready for the big fight. So slick boxing. You fight well on the inside. You don't put yourself in a position to catch a lot of shots when you're trading. So I honestly think that it's just a matter of time. Sometimes patience is one of those things you gotta deal with in the sport.
It's funny. I think that's something that I've struggled with my whole career. I've wanted, that instant gratification where, like I said, I've been boxing for so long that I'm like, I'm ready for this title, or I'm ready for this fight, and like I can beat this guy or whatever the case is. But I want it now because I feel like I've put in so much hard work.
Especially
I completely agree with you when you say that patience is key.
Yeah, right. I think you're on that uphill battle right now, and if you keep doing what you're doing, like Ray said, you got a nice boxing style, slick, a great defense, and I think it's just a matter of time before you get that shot that's going to put you right back where you were.
And look, I don't want to sound overly effusive, but you have the boxing ability. You're clean cut, like you said. You're well spoken. You've got the best hair in boxing. Once again, Yeah,
I think
highly
he's a
marketable.
fan. I think he's like a serious fan. He's a
really?
fan.
Oh, whoa. Yeah, that might get edited. No. So yeah, but I don't know if that's gonna make it. But yeah, you're highly marketable, and it's just opportunities. There's a lot of minor belts, and I'm glad to hear you say it, because we often have these conversations, and people, I guess a few boxers, maybe more than a few, to say, I don't want to bother with the sanctioning fees and everything else with the minor belts. But you have to, everyone's road is different to get back to the spotlight. I mean, you fought on Showtime, HBO, PBC. People know your name.
Right.
Exactly.
I still sometimes I still trip out, if you would, when I see guys like, like the Danny Garcias or the Errol Spences, and obviously I'm at their pedigree, but I think it's funny when they come, like, kind of go out of their way and, come say, hey, what's up, man? Because, like, to me, obviously I'm a humble guy, and I'm very down to earth. I don't see myself like I'm this huge star, so
that's a positive.
Yeah, but I think it's funny. Like, my brother always tells me, like, of course they're gonna know who you are. You've been in the game and you've made a lot of noise for some time, so they're gonna know who you are. You can't belittle yourself. But I think it's still, for me, it's I don't want to say I get starstruck, because all these guys are in the gym and it's just another fighter to me. But I think I trip out when that happens.
You really competed with some of the best boxers as an amateur, and you highly decorated too. Started at 12, you got your own gym, got that going with your pops. What do you see yourself in the next few years?
Honestly, I honestly just want to keep fighting. I have a business that obviously I work on every weekend with my wife. And that's always just to keep grinding and keep hustling. And that's another part that I feel like keeps me humble. I don't feel like I'm too big to serve anyone. So I remind myself, working is key, because obviously I feel like that's why God put me here, was to serve people. And even with boxing, I'm the entertainment,
so where's the business? What's the business, man? Give it a plug.
It's called Churro Champ, and it's a churro business. And you'd think that here in California you'd have a lot more churro businesses, but you really don't. And it's going
pretty good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, well, great. Look, 160 is crowded. Who do you want next? If you had your opportunity, line them up. I know we just referencing back to when you said, hey, your next 3 fights. If you had your opportunity to line them up, any progression, who the next 3?
I think I'd want the Todd fight again, just to redeem myself. And not to anybody, just to myself.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a tough question. Honestly, I'd want all the guys that I've lost to, because I feel like, obviously, besides Charlo, I feel like even the Willie fight, I felt like I thought it could have been a draw. He started strong, but I feel like I ended strong.
Exactly.
And then Montiel, I felt like they were grooming him to fight with Charlo. And I personally don't feel like that was a draw. I feel like I outboxed him. Sulecki, for that fight, I tried to do a crash diet and try to lose all the weight at the end. And I don't know, man, I must have gone like 3 days without eating. And I still, yeah. So even going into the fight, by the 3rd or 4th round, I was dead. I don't even know how I made it to the 10th, but yeah. And then obviously work my way back to that Charlo fight.
Okay. So how's the weight now? What are you walking around at?
Probably about 175 right now.
Okay.
Like too drastic. Maintain myself and keep myself in the gym. Also, my kids keep me busy, so that's always a good thing.
Yeah, man. Stay away from 175, man. We've already seen lately 175 ain't been the thing to do.
Yeah.
Well, I guess They got some good fighters at 168. You probably can get in the mix.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. Let me ask you, what was your take on the Canelo fight?
I felt like they scored it a lot closer than what it really was.
Everyone, yes, right. Exactly.
Well, what was your scorecard?
I said maybe 9-3, 8-4.
That's it.
You could have given it 8-4, but that's being generous.
Yeah.
But I felt like it was fair. I feel like Canelo wanted this guy to be intimidated by the name and obviously the power that it carries, like most people do. But Bivol just went in there, and I've sparred Bivol before. And I was telling a lot of people, he's not an easy fighter to hit. He keeps his distance very well, and he's very well balanced and has great defense. I feel like it's going to be a lot harder for Canelo than what people expect. And the Canelo fans are just like, oh no, he's going to get a knockout.
Yeah, they're distraught. So it messed up the money.
You gotta think with this, not with this, especially in boxing, because obviously when you let your emotions get the best of you, you're gonna lose, and that goes the same thing when you're going for a fighter. It's like the Shakur Stevenson Valdez fight. I'm cool with Valdez. He's a great fighter. I've seen him in the gym a bunch of times, but realistically, do I feel like his actual boxing skills? He's a great fighter. Do I feel boxing skills match up to Shakur's? I don't. And so I told a lot of people that, and sure enough, the outcome was Shakur outboxing him.
Yeah.
We got a big one coming up this weekend. What's your prediction? A good one.
It's a really good one. It's a tough one. I don't know, man. I thought Castaño could have pulled it off last time. He was great on stealing the rounds and being able to smother Charlo. But I feel like usually Charlo, when he has a rematch with someone or is able to make adjustments, he makes them pretty well.
Yeah, in terms of materials up.
I think Charlo might level up for this fight, and I think he might take it. I think it'll go to the decision though, because Castaño is pretty tough.
Yeah, he's tough. Yeah. I mean, it's so many fighters out there, man.
Another one to look out for, Dennis. I love to watch all the fights, man, and I'm a big fan of his. I think he's a great fighter.
Floyd getting in there too, right? What? Again, Floyd?
It's my Saturday. I know what I'm doing my Saturdays. Hey, you have to. What is your most memorable moment as a professional? And also, one other follow-up question: what was your funniest moment as a professional? That's just as telling, just as revealing.
I think one of my funnier moments has to be, I was signing autographs at this comedy show, and I'm with my girlfriend at the time, with my wife now. And we're sitting there, and she's sitting right next to me, and so everyone's coming up, and I'm signing posters. And this girl comes up to me, she's about my age, and she goes, "Hey, can I take a picture with you?" And I just lean over and do the good old boxing pose, and she's like, "No, but I want to sit in your lap." And I'm like, and then she's like, "Is that okay with your girlfriend?" And like, she kind of gives my wife a dirty look, or my girlfriend at the time. And my wife's like, "It's fine. Like, I get to take you home at night." So I don't know if I was more shocked by the girl asking if she could sit in my lap, or my wife telling me, I get to take you home. I thought that was hilarious. And sure enough, the girl sat down on my lap and she took her picture. And
a man who's committed to the fans. Anything
for the fans.
And memorable. I think it has to be between two moments, and that's when I knocked out James De La Rosa at Barclays Center.
Okay, yeah.
Because I had never been in such a big arena as big as that one. And so when I knocked this guy out, this guy was talking through the roof. And
makes it feel better.
I could just hear everyone like roaring. And to hear, 13,000 people just yelling, it's amazing, And then after that, this is when Michael B. Jordan was getting ready to do Creed. And it's Michael B. Jordan, Andre Ward, and Jim Lampley, and they all asked me to take a picture with them.
What?
Do it. But, you know, I take a picture with them, and then this is when James, I think his name is James Coogler, the director of Creed. He also came up to me and he's like, "Hey man, I'm shooting this movie where Apollo's grandson, you know, is gonna start boxing, and I'd like for you to try out for that." And so, you know, I was in LA and they had me audition for Creed. I mean, obviously not knowing what it was gonna be, but I had a falling out with the manager at the time, and so I never heard anything back.
Oh man.
Jeez.
Man.
Yeah.
I got one question. Who's your barber so I can send these two to him?
Yeah, I don't think they can get. I don't have enough. You're not gonna do that. So, but
oh, it's all in the maintenance.
There you go.
Right. I hate this guy. He's jealous. He's always been jealous of me.
Yeah, but no. Again, this has been actually. I gotta thank you again. We don't run too long. This has been some good stuff. What now? Is there anything, any parting shots, anything you want to, before we wrap up with you, anything you want to get out there? You could plug your business, next fight, promotions, anything. This is your time.
If you guys just gotta go follow my business, it's called Churro Champ, and on Instagram it's churro_champ. And then at the moment I don't have a fight, but once I do, I think you guys will be the first to know.
Well, yeah, brothers, I thank you again. Look, when we reach out to you, it's because we are seriously, we are fans, and we want to see you because you are talented and you've done everything the right way. You don't embrace controversy. So, we here would love to see you get ahead and to get the shots you deserve. So we'll keep plugging and we'll do what we can on our end to get your name out there even more. I mean,
thank you. That really means a lot to me. Like I said, the support that you guys have for me, it truly hits home.
Yeah, we're fans. Seriously, when we think about who we want to reach out to, it's like, who do you like? And we bounce a lot of ideas off each other,
right?
And it's a lot of different criteria. So I'm glad this worked out. And again, we just want to thank you.
Absolutely. Like I said, once again, thanks for having me.